Hello and welcome to the Content Bite.
Hello. Oh, my chair just squeaked a little bit. Sorry about that, everyone.
That's okay. I'm Lynn Testoni and I'm a content writer and journalist.
Yeah. I'm Rachel Smith. I'm a copywriter and journalist and the founder of Rachel's List, which is a jobs board for creatives. And you are listening to
The Content Bite.
Which is a podcast for people who use their words.
Yeah, to make money.
That's right.
For a living. Have a good time.
That's
all that
right.
stuff. Yeah.
Work-life balance. Okay, so what are we talking about today, Lynn?
We're talking about should freelancers work for small businesses? All
yes.
about the pros and cons of working for small businesses.
Yes.
You work a lot more for small businesses than I do.
Yes, I do. And it's such a tricky one, isn't it? Because every freelancer has a different approach to this.
Yes.
I know that Lindy Alexander wrote that fantastic post about how she's completely stopped working for small businesses. She did it at the start when she started freelancing and then decided, nope.
And actually, I must admit that it totally reflected my own thoughts on that, because I did work... When I started freelancing, I thought there'd be all the opportunities out there in small business. And I have a couple of small businesses that I do work for, but I don't tend to do that. I just found it was quite a lot of work for a very little financial reward. Unless you get that wonderful... I've got a couple of really lovely small business clients now, and I do... stick with them, but I don't go out for any more, really.
Yeah.
So what do you like about working for small businesses?
Well, see, I guess because I've sort of moved into working 5 days a week now that Charlie's gone to school, I'm trying to edge more into those high-paying corporate clients and copywriting agencies and stuff like that.
Corporate clients do tend to be... more full on, and whereas a small business often understands if you've got a family responsibility, because they usually have that themselves.
True.
So they're sometimes a bit more flexible. Corporate people expect that you're there 9 to 5 every single day, and if you can't do that, that's tricky.
That's true. Look, I think obviously, if you can sort of create a split in work where you've got more high-paying corporates, you're going to make more money, obviously. But I do still like plugging the gaps with small businesses that I like to work with. And I think the main reason is because I think it's much more agile. You can make changes really quickly. There's no red tape. You're
usually speaking to the main decision maker.
Yeah, you are. And you can sort of educate them. And often... they know nothing. So even a small bit of knowledge about content or social or, WordPress.
You look really good.
But you can help them really easily. It's not going to be a massive stretch with a lot of small businesses, because they just need that visibility. They need more content. They need the right keywords. They need stuff done to their website so that they can rank better or, So, and also it can be a really great opportunity to form a team and collaborate with other freelancers. Like I often... we'll form a team of like a designer and an SEO person, and we'll work together with the client on different things to bring them up to where they should be, and then that's the end of the project.
That's quite nice.
Or it might mean extra work ongoing for content for me. So I do.
Because you've had a couple of small businesses where you've grown with them as their business have grown.
Yeah. So I can't say for me personally I will ever stop that as one of my income streams, because I actually do really like making that difference in somebody's brand and helping them and stuff like that. But that said, we're going to talk about the downsides of small businesses, of which there is quite a long list. So
I do think it's always the budget issue. So that's always a tricky thing, because they don't have the budget, and sometimes that means that they don't respect our craft as much. They think, you can whip something up quickly. And yes, well, I can to a point. To do it well and to have the right keywords and make sure I understand their business and where you're ultimately going, because often they don't have a strategy at all. Whereas with a big corporate, they often know exactly what you want. Sometimes you've even given keywords. You can start right from the beginning. So you don't... With a small business, you have to start right from...
You have to educate them that if they don't have a keyword strategy or have done an audit or anything, that needs to come first. And then you kind of build from there.
And sometimes they want to do, say, social media or something, but they don't have a great website. So you push back to something that doesn't reflect you've really got to start.
You've got to
sometimes
rebuild.
Rebuild right from the beginning.
That's true. I will stop you though just for a second on the budget thing, because I agree they have smaller budgets. And sometimes there can be cash flow issues, so it can mean, you're not getting paid. But I also find a lot of small businesses have that freelancer mindset, and so they will pay really quickly. Like a lot of small businesses I work for pay me the next day.
Yeah,
as soon as I've
I
invoiced.
have one
So
small business
lucky.
that's really nice, and that's why I kept it, because she didn't have a lot of budget. She has a little cake business, and I do a weekly newsletter for her, and I thought, oh, it's such a small job, but you know what, she's just a delight to deal with. I do it, I know exactly what she wants now. I've been doing it for 2 years. I send her an invoice and she pays within the hour. and even though, and I just think, well, that's lovely and it's easy, and I'm happy with that. And I stick with her for ages, even though most of my clients now are corporates.
That's true. But I do think like the real risk if you are going to work for small businesses is be aware that, their cash flow can be sort of up and down, and often they'll decide just on a whim, even after saying, we want this and this and this for the next 3 months, they're suddenly going to pull the plug because they've decided their marketing spend is best spent elsewhere, or they want to try Google Ads or something, and so they just pull that off you, and you can be ghosted. Have you been ghosted by a small business?
Yes.
Yeah. I got ghosted this year, late last year actually, by a small business that I'd done heaps of work for. We had a great working relationship, me and the guy and everything, and then suddenly just cut me dead. And a couple of other freelancers as well that I knew that were working with him, cut them all dead and never even said anything. It was really...
Oh, is that funny?
Yeah.
Yes, no, I think with the cash flow things, whenever I work for a small business or I've been asked to do something, I ask for the 50% deposit up front, which goes back.
Yep.
And usually if they start arguing about that, or if it doesn't appear, I don't start work until I get that now on a small business.
Yeah, me too.
And that gives you a good indication, because you don't want to be chasing money at the end.
Yeah, that's true.
The other thing is with a corporate, they tend to have 30 days. That's one of the hard things. They have a 30-day cycle.
Yeah.
In payment. So a small business usually will pay you either the next day, as we talk, or at least 7 or 14 days, which is way easier to manage that cash flow. Yeah,
that's true. Of course, you can, if you run into problems with a small business that doesn't pay you, there are lots of way you can try collect more, can't you?
Yes.
And if you have to go down that road for debt collection,
and it's not usually the same amount of money as a big corporate or whatever. So so you're not out of pocket quite as much. But I do think it's good to... One of the big traps with a small business is you keep doing work for them while they're not paying. And some people, when they're in trouble, or some small business, not many, the odd one is unethical and goes through and picks freelancers out until you... And just...
you often see that on the freelance jungle, don't you?
Yeah.
Where people say, I'm owed 20 grand, but I'm still
writing for them.
Yeah, and it's like, stop
writing. Because the people say, I'm going to pay you, or hasn't that gone through and everything, and I'm become quite cynical. Until that money's in my bank account, I don't do it.
Well, I know, hasn't Beck Lambert from the Freelance Jungle said a lot about how if it's under 1,000 you charge 50%, but if it's under 1,000 you get the full amount up front.
I think she for under 500 she gets the full amount up front.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense, really.
I get 50%. And that seems to be a good idea. It does work. I think also we talked about the scope creep.
Yeah, look, I think with small businesses, because they work in different ways and they're so busy, once they realise what you can do, they can throw other things at you. So you have to be very careful to have a contract and revise the scope if say they say, well, can you actually add on the social media teasers, or can you, add another interview into that, or whatever they want.
Because that's one of the difficulties of that. They know, and you and I particularly, we can do lots of different things. I'm happy to add on social media, but it takes time and I have to charge more for that.
Yep.
However, one of the good things about working for them is you can do a lot of things. With a big corporate, you're often in there just to write blog posts, and even if you can see that they need help with their social media, they won't, because they have a separate person for social media.
So true.
Or even a separate person within their company that you don't know.
Yep.
And so it does give you a bit more, you often get more variety of work, so you're a bit more
and you can make more money
vertical.
because you can say, well, I can actually handle that for you, and I can project manage that for you, or I can
organise those photos.
Yeah.
I can do this.
I can project manage the design of your logo for you, or however I do that. So there is scope to make more money, but this is why we put those agreements into the toolkit. I think we've got some new agreements like statement of agreement and retainer agreements and stuff, which are available now, and it just helps you lay out the scope from the start, so you've got a record and it's signed off by both parties, and it can really protect you, I suppose, in the event of that. But I think the other big thing that you have to be aware of when you're going into work with a small business is because they can be so busy, I think they can be a lot less responsive than a big corporate.
Yeah, they can get caught up with an emergency because they're often the CEO of the company that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
They have other focuses besides marketing and besides their web strategy. They could be having a problem with the manufacturing or some distribution issues, and they just totally
drop the ball on content, and you don't hear from them for weeks. And I think that can really that can be problematic. I think because it can mean you're missing milestones, so you're missing payments as well, and it can mess with your cash flow. So I think you have to be really strict about that.
I think it's really, with that milestones, it's really important not to regard small business as an anchor client.
Yeah.
The corporates are much better than that. They will pay you. They're much more regimented. There's often locked in contracts. It's a bit better, whereas small business is better for that filling the gaps that you talked about.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're over time, but we're just going to quickly run through a quick checklist of what you need. If you decide to work for a small business, what do you need to do?
Yep, the client questionnaire.
Yes.
I've got one. Do you have one in your toolkit?
I don't want to have one in the toolkit, no. We might put one in down the track, but I have one personally that I use. I
do, and I got one I downloaded from Kate Toon.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so hers is, she's got a client briefing sheet.
Okay.
And that's really good. And I also find if somebody doesn't fill that in, or I can just have a phone chat with them if they're not great. And I basically use that as my trigger questions, and I record that.
I do the same. I actually have, one that I've created for myself, and I'll send it to them. And if they fill it out and send it back, great. But often you are doing it with them on the phone.
Yeah.
Like you're going, we have to fill this in now.
Yeah, just to get an idea. Be very clear. Have a signed contract.
Yes. Absolutely. And the whole thing that we mentioned before, you have to get 50% payment up front, and don't start work until that hits your account. I think that's a really important point. Yeah.
Even if they say they're sending it on Monday, wait till it's in your account.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Okay, I think we better go.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And don't forget to email us at thecontentbite@gmail.com if you need, if you have any questions or there's topics you'd like us to cover.
Yep. Or you can catch us on Facebook at The Content Bite.
Yeah. And a little bit of chats, and we've got a few suggestions from people what they'd like.
Yeah, and occasionally we'll do show notes, so we'll let you know on Facebook, or if there are show notes coming up that you can download.
Terrific. Thanks.
Thanks. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.